you felt the club is a little heavier to you, right? Okay, so we hold it with this kind of position, right? The last 3 fingers of your left is very much in control. You can feel it, right? Okay, when you hold it like this, you see there's no gap here. This is important. If you have a gap, then the pressure is changing. So you have to make it right. So now when you talk about having your right, I said in the finger. So hold it there, and this is where the left thumb must slip inside your right palm. There, and you hold it like that. So you have to hold it there, and you have to do a little bit of strength because the club is heavier for you. Hold it there. Can you hold it? Hold it. Stay that way. Don't let it drop. Okay. Hold. Yes. See, this is what we talk about the grip itself. You need to understand the position of the hands and the fingers playing this role to control. It is not too tight, it's not loose. You can have good feel, right? So this is what we are trying to do. When you talk about grip, it's very important because it starts there for the game of golf. And next thing is, once you have a good grip, you next have to have a good setup. When you have a good setup, what do we have? What do we need in a good setup? We must have balance, we must have stability, and at the same time, we need to understand the role of the body as a whole. So this is where, when you talk about setup, likewise the grip just now, I'm talking about holding a hammer in your left hand. When you talk about setup, now we talk about having your knee bent, because a bent knee is to allow that setup having good balance. And when you talk about the takeaway and the follow through at the end in the swing itself, then you will see, okay, you can put it down there. So when you talk about this balance, you see when you turn, you need to transfer your weight as you swing back. So I will take this club back, hold it down, leave me, give me. Alright. So if you're talking about adik, lalu jauh sikit. Dia nak apa ni? So bila kita cakap pasal, once you have got a good grip, alright? Once you have a good grip, now we are talking about setup. How do we go about setup? Setup is simple. One is, you can start with your feet together first, and then bend a little forward. When you bend, simply to indicate how best can you turn your shoulder in your swing later on. And then when you open up, you bend your knee, and that's where the balance. We need you to have that balance so that you can turn and swing properly. Now in a setup, one important aspect that you have to understand is simply that when you swing on the way back, because you at the same time there's a weight transfer. The weight transfer to go to your right. Now to your right. So the anchored position of the right knee, that is the one that receives the weight. So when you pull it down back into through the impact, the weight again transferred through your knees. This is why I believe in very simple, make the game easy. You have to have your knee bent and work your game through bended knees. When you go through that bended knees, normally you will have a very good basic for a golf swing. The simplest, if I were to give you how to make this game simple, have a good grip, put your feet together, bend, and the weight is about towards the ball, but balanced by your knee. So when you have that, and you all need to do is just swing through. You see that? Because this is a learning process. When your feet together, you will have the right knee anchored. So that action by itself, you do it, your weight transfer is always on the right already. But once you have got that, and then you swing down into the impact, you will see that the knee both now move to the left. This is the process of weight transfer. At the same time, this is where the power in the golf swing itself. I talk about effortless power. I'm not talking about power trying to drive power. That's why I only take into account a good grip, a good setup, you're going to have a good swing. And one of the things that I always believe, when you have a good grip and a good setup, automatically you have a swing plane. You have a swing plane. Simply because, as I said, based on your setup, your arm is hanging from the shoulder. Look at the very simple action. If you stand erect, how can you turn your swing? You can't. So in order to have a good swing, bend forward, put on the weight onto the knee, and you turn the shoulder. And you see that the shoulder turn is very simple. Automatically, as I said, you will have a swing plane. And in order to practice that from time to time, is to put there, see how the shaft of the club, and when you go through, it should be a circular in motion. So it's turning. So the more you swing, keep this in mind, you will have a very good swing action. As I said, at the end of the day, we are talking about effortless power, and this is where most of the time that I have been handling people, students, golfers, I talk about effortless power. But I do not compromise in the application of the grip and the setup. I do not compromise, because anything that you learn, you have to learn, and you have to earn it, and you have to practice it to make perfect. Practice the right thing, you will always be. Well, thank God, so far I'm very lucky that I have a lot of my students are doing very well, and they have been playing and enjoying the game of golf simply because what I believe, make the game simple, that's it. Practice, make it perfect.